Here are Grandma's 42 cheap meal hacks to survive in today's economy. Stretch beef with cooked oats. Grandma used to say a smart cook could make a pound of beef feed an army, especially back in the day during the Great Depression. This trick works because cooked oats blend right into ground meat, adding bulk without stealing flavor. Brown your beef, stir in a batch of soft cooked oats, season well, and continue cooking as usual. Use the mixture for patties, meatloaf, or chili. It stretches your budget while keeping every meal hearty and satisfying. Fry potato skins crispy. Nothing beats turning scraps into something worth bragging about. Potato skins crisp up beautifully because they hold flavor and cook fast when given a little heat. Rinse the peels, pat them dry, toss with a bit of oil, salt, and pepper, then fry them in a hot skillet until golden. Drain on a towel and season again if needed. Serve warm as a snack or side. It's a cheap, tasty way to keep waste out of the bin. Add rice to chili. Did you know that a pot of chili can feed twice as many folks when you know the old trick? Rice stretches your meal because it absorbs seasoning and adds filling weight without costing much. Cook your rice separately, then stir it into the chili during the last few minutes of simmering. Let it warm through so the flavors blend. This gives you a thicker, heartier pot with extra servings for lunches or leftovers. A small scoop goes a long way. Save bacon grease jar. There's a reason older folks kept a grease jar right beside the stove. Bacon drippings carry big flavor because they hold the smoky richness that seasonings alone can't match. After frying bacon, strain the hot grease into a clean jar and let it cool before refrigerating. Use a spoonful to fry eggs, seasoned vegetables, or brown potatoes. It turns everyday dishes into something special while saving every drop of flavor you already paid for. Simmer bones into broth. A good cook never lets bones go to waste. They make rich broth because slow simmering releases minerals, collagen, and deep flavor. Grandma would place leftover bones in a pot with onion ends, carrot peels, and celery tops, then cover with water. Bring it to a gentle simmer and let it cook for hours. Strain, cool, and store the broth for soups, gravies, or rice dishes. It's cheap, wholesome, and gives old scraps one more job before they're done. Reuse broth as gravy. Good broth shouldn't ever go to waste, especially when it can make a meal twice as good. Broth turns into gravy because the flavorful liquid thickens beautifully when heated with a little flour or cornstarch. Warm your broth in a pan. Whisk in a spoonful of thickener and simmer until smooth. Add pepper or herbs if you like. Pour it over potatoes, rice, or meat. It's an easy way to stretch leftovers while boosting taste. Mix lentils with meat. Stretching meat has been a budget trick for generations. Lentils help because they soak up seasoning and blend right into ground meat without changing the texture much. Simmer lentils until tender, drain them well, and fold them into browned beef or turkey before adding spices. Cook everything together for a few minutes so the flavors settle in. Use the mixture for tacos, shepherd's pie, or burgers. You get more servings without spending more money. Thicken soup using pasta. Did you know that a thin soup can turn hearty in no time with a small handful of pasta? According to Grandma, this works because pasta releases starch as it cooks, giving broth a fuller body. Add dry noodles to your simmering pot during the last stretch of cooking, stirring occasionally so nothing sticks. Let the soup bubble gently until the pasta softens. The result is a richer, more satisfying bowl that feels like a full meal, even when ingredients are scarce. Turn stale bread into crumbs. Stale bread may look tired, but it still has work left in it. Breadcrumbs make meals stretch because they add crunch, texture, and bulk to coatings and meat mixtures. Tear the bread into chunks. Toast it lightly in the oven, then pulse it in a blender until you reach the crumb size you like. Store them in a jar for breading chicken, topping casseroles, or mixing into meatloaf. It keeps waste low and flavor high. Regrow scallions in water. It's surprising how far one bunch of scallions can go when you know this trick. Scallions regrow easily because their roots stay active even after cutting. Trim the tops for cooking, then place the white ends in a glass of water with the roots down. Set it near a sunny window and refresh the water every couple of days. New green shoots will rise quickly, giving you fresh flavor without another trip to the store. Carrot tops for broth. A thrifty kitchen never tosses flavor away. Carrot tops make a fine broth because their stems and greens release a mild, earthy taste when simmered. Rinse the tops well, place them in a pot with onion ends or herb scraps, and cover with water. Let it bubble gently for an hour, then strain the liquid. Use the broth for soups, grains, or sauces. It's a smart way to stretch scraps into something truly useful. Revive veggies with ice. Tired vegetables can spring back to life with a little cold shock. This works because crispness returns when the cells rehydrate in icy water. Fill a bowl with ice and water. Drop your limp veggies, lettuce, carrots, celery inside, and let them rest for 15 to 20 minutes. Remove, pat dry, and enjoy their fresh snap again. It's a budget-friendly rescue trick that saves produce and stretches your grocery dollars further. Bake leftover dough scraps. No dough scrap should head for the trash when it can still shine. Dough bakes well because even the extra bits puff up and crisp nicely with a touch of heat. Gather your scraps, roll them into small shapes, brush lightly with oil or melted butter, and sprinkle with sugar or herbs. Bake until golden. You'll end up with bite-sized treats, perfect for snacking. It's a simple way to turn leftovers into something warm and comforting. Turn rice into pudding. Grandma always believed yesterday's rice could make today's dessert. Rice works beautifully because its soft grains soak up sweetness and spices without falling apart. Warm your leftover rice in a pot with milk, sugar, and a pinch of cinnamon or vanilla. Let it simmer slowly until thick and creamy, stirring now and then. Serve it warm or chilled. It's a comforting, low-cost way to stretch a simple staple into a satisfying treat. Fry leftover oatmeal patties. A pot of cooled oatmeal can become tomorrow's breakfast in a whole new form. Oatmeal firms up nicely because it holds shape once cold, making it perfect for patties. Scoop spoonfuls of chilled oats, form them into small rounds, and fry them in a lightly oiled skillet until crisp on both sides. Add a sprinkle of salt or a drizzle of syrup to finish. This quick trick turns leftovers into a hearty, cheap meal that sticks to your ribs. Bulk stew with cabbage. A pot of stew can feed a whole crowd when you know how to stretch it right. Cabbage is perfect for this because it softens nicely, absorbs flavor, and adds volume without costing much. Chop the cabbage into chunks, stir it into your simmering stew, and let it cook until tender. The pot will grow richer, thicker, and far more filling. It's an easy way to turn a small batch into a meal that lasts 2 extra nights. Watered down canned soup. A single can of soup can do more work than you think. Adding water stretches it because many canned soups are already thick and salty enough to handle dilution. Pour the soup into a pot, rinse the can halfway with water, and add that too. Simmer gently and adjust with pepper or herbs. You'll get more servings while keeping the flavor steady. It is a simple way to make a small pantry go further. Add potatoes to meat. Did you know that sailors in the 1800s often bulked up their stews with potatoes to make rations last longer? The trick still works today because potatoes soak up seasoning and add hearty weight to any meat dish. Dice them into small cubes, stir them in with your browning meat, and let everything cook together until tender. You'll end up with a fuller pot and more plates to serve without buying extra protein. Freeze milk before spoiling. A thrifty kitchen never lets milk get ahead of its time. Freezing works because milk holds up well when chilled solid, especially if you leave space at the top for expansion. Pour milk into smaller containers or keep it in its jug if partly used, then freeze it before the expiration date. Thaw it in the fridge and shake well before drinking. It is perfect for cooking, baking, cereal, or stretching your grocery trips a little farther. Make vinegar salad dressing. A simple homemade dressing can brighten any cheap meal. Vinegar works well because it cuts through heavy flavors and blends smoothly with basic pantry items. Combine vinegar, oil, a pinch of sugar, and whatever herbs you have on hand. Whisk or shake until the mixture turns silky. Pour it over greens, beans, or cooked vegetables. This humble dressing costs pennies, but tastes fresh and lively, making plain ingredients feel like something special. Use pickle juice marinade. Grandma swore that nothing tenderized meat like leftover pickle juice, and she was right. Pickle brine works because its salt and vinegar seep deep into meat, breaking down tough fibers. Pour the juice into a shallow dish, add chicken or pork, and let it soak for a few hours in the fridge. Pat dry before cooking, and season lightly. Most of the work is already done. You'll end up with juicy, flavorful meat without spending a penny extra. Stretch eggs with potatoes. A humble potato can turn a small batch of eggs into a crowd-feeding meal. This trick works because grated or diced potatoes cook quickly and add hearty volume. Sauté the potatoes in a bit of oil until golden, then pour beaten eggs over them and fold everything together. Finish with salt, pepper, or herbs. The dish becomes fuller, fluffier, and far more filling. It's the perfect way to make breakfast stretch when the carton runs low. Cook beans for the week. A single pot of beans can carry you through several meals if you plan ahead. Beans are reliable because they hold flavor well and pair easily with rice, vegetables, or tortillas. Soak them overnight, rinse, and simmer with onions, garlic, or whatever seasoning you have. Portion the cooked beans into containers and refrigerate or freeze them. Use them in soups, burritos, salads, or stews. One pot sets you up for days of cheap, hearty eating. Add barley to soups. Old cooks knew barley could make any thin soup feel like a full meal. Barley works because it releases starch as it cooks, thickening the broth while adding chewy, satisfying texture. Rinse the grains and stir them into your simmering pot during the early stages of cooking. Let everything bubble slowly until the barley softens. The soup becomes richer, heavier, and far more nourishing. It's an easy way to stretch ingredients when the fridge looks bare. Turn old tortillas into chips. Stale tortillas still have plenty of life left in them. Tortillas crisp up beautifully because they firm when dry heat hits their surface. Cut them into wedges, brush with a touch of oil, sprinkle with salt, and bake or pan fry until golden. Let them cool on a rack so they stay crunchy. Serve with salsa, soup, or chili. It's a cheap, no-waste trick that turns leftovers into a snack worth gathering around. Use pasta water thickener. A good pot of noodles leaves behind more than you think. Scoop a ladle of that starchy pasta water and stir it into thin sauces or soups while they're simmering. The starch binds everything together, giving the dish a silky body without extra ingredients. This works because the water carries just enough natural thickener to pull flavors together. Keep a cup aside before draining the pasta so you always have some on hand. Make dumplings from flour. Sometimes the cheapest meals are the ones you build from scratch. Mix flour, a pinch of salt, and a little water or milk until you get a soft dough. Then pinch off small pieces and drop them into simmering broth. Let them puff and cook through. This works because simple dough absorbs liquid and expands, turning broth into a hearty, filling pot. It's the kind of comfort food that keeps you warm without thinning your wallet. Bake apples into mush. A few tired apples can still make a fine treat. Peel and slice them, place them in a small baking dish, sprinkle with sugar and cinnamon, and bake until they collapse into a soft, sweet mush. It works because slow heat pulls the natural sugars forward and breaks down the fibers. Serve it warm on toast alongside oats or spooned over yogurt. It's a cheap, cozy way to turn fading fruit into something special. Turn scraps into stock. Nothing brings value to a kitchen like a good stock pot. Toss in vegetable ends, herb stems, chicken bones, or beef trimmings. Cover with water and let it simmer low and slow. After a couple of hours, strain the liquid. It works because scraps release flavor and nutrients that would otherwise be wasted. Freeze the stock in small containers so you can grab just what you need for soups, gravies, or rice dishes. Thin peanut butter sauce. Peanut butter can stretch a long way when you handle it right. Scoop some into a bowl, add a splash of warm water or broth, and whisk until smooth. Once blended, season with soy sauce, garlic, or a little sugar. This works because the fat in peanut butter loosens easily with warm liquid, creating a creamy sauce without using much peanut butter at all. Pour it over noodles, vegetables, or leftover chicken for a quick, cheap meal. Combine half-instant potatoes. A smart cook knows a bowl of mashed potatoes doesn't need to be all fresh to taste good. Mix your cooked potatoes with an equal scoop of instant flakes while they're still hot. Then stir in milk, butter, and seasoning. The combination creates a smooth, fluffy mash that stretches your serving size without stretching your budget. Instant potatoes blend easily with real ones, giving you twice the volume and the same comforting texture on the table. Sweeten fruit with syrup. Any fruit, even the tart or tired kind, can shine with a little help. Slice your apples, berries, or peaches into a bowl and drizzle a small amount of simple syrup over the top. Give it a gentle toss and let it sit for a few minutes. The syrup draws out juices and softens edges, turning plain fruit into a sweet side dish or dessert. It's a cheap way to make produce taste its best. Layer potatoes with onions. Old-timers knew how to turn two humble ingredients into a filling dish. Slice potatoes and onions thin, then stack them in a baking dish with a pinch of salt, pepper, and a dab of butter between layers. Cover and bake until everything softens, then uncover to brown the top. The reason this trick shines is that the onions melt down and season the potatoes naturally, giving you a hearty side that costs next to nothing. Stretch meat sauces with beans. A pot of sauce can go the distance when you give it a little company. Add cooked beans, kidney, black or white, right into your simmering meat sauce and let everything blend for 15 minutes. Beans hold their shape while soaking up spices, making the sauce taste richer and giving you extra servings for lunch the next day. It's an old trick that fills the belly without demanding more meat from your budget. Roast wilted veggies crisp. Even veggies past their prime can come back swinging with a little oven heat. Toss limp carrots, broccoli, or peppers with oil, salt, and whatever seasoning you have on hand, then spread them on a hot baking sheet. Roast until the edges turn golden and crisp. Heat revives them because moisture cooks off, leaving concentrated flavor behind. What once looked ready for the compost bin becomes a tray of inexpensive, tasty sides. Add shredded carrots to meatloaf. Grandma would smile at this one because she used it often to make meat stretch further. Grated carrots blend beautifully because they soften as they cook and carry seasoning well. Mix the carrots straight into your meatloaf blend, right along with the eggs, crumbs, and spice before shaping the loaf. As it bakes, the carrots add moisture and gentle sweetness. You end up with a tender, larger meatloaf that costs less without giving up flavor or comfort. Substitute powdered milk in baking. A thrifty kitchen always keeps powdered milk on hand. Stir a few spoonfuls into warm water to match the milk your recipe calls for, then use it just like the real thing. This shines because powdered milk has a long shelf life and stays ready even when fresh milk runs low. It works especially well in bread, muffins, and pancakes. Keep a small jar, mixed and chilled so you can bake at a moment's notice. Use coffee in cake. A splash of coffee can make a simple chocolate cake taste richer than it has any right to. Brew a strong cup, let it cool slightly, and swap it in for part of the liquid in your recipe. Coffee deepens the cocoa flavor without making the cake taste like coffee at all. It's a small trick with a big payoff, giving even boxed mixes a homemade edge. Try it once, and you'll never skip it again. Stretch butter using water. Did you know that bakers during wartime often stretched butter to make it last longer? Soften your butter until it's workable. Then whip in a small splash of warm water, just enough to lighten the texture without thinning the flavor. Spread it into a container and chill it again. The trick pays off because the butter fluffs up, giving you more to use on toast or in simple cooking. It's a quiet way to stretch a pricey staple. Make jelly from peels. Fruit peels may look like scraps, but they're packed with flavor. Place apple, pear, or citrus peels in a pot with sugar and water, then simmer until the mixture thickens and the color deepens. Strain out the solids and pour the jelly into clean jars. The natural pectin in peels helps the jelly set without additives. Spread it on toast or warm biscuits. It's a sweet, old-fashioned way to turn leftovers into something delightful. Reuse leftover gravy as base. A spoonful of yesterday's gravy can start today's meal off right. Warm it gently in a pan, then whisk in broth, water, or milk to stretch it to the consistency you need. Add herbs or pepper if the flavor needs a lift. This trick saves money because gravy already holds seasoning, fat, and flavor that blend easily into new dishes. Use it for soups, pot pies, casseroles, or noodle dishes. A little goes a long way. Simmer corn cobs for soup base. A bare corn cob still has work left in it once the kernels are gone. Drop cleaned cobs into a pot, cover with water, and let them simmer a while with onion skins or herb scraps. After an hour, strain the liquid and use it as your soup base. The reason this trick pays off is that corn sweetness and minerals seep into the water, giving your soups a gentle flavor without spending an extra dime. Fry bread ends into savory toast chips. The heels of bread may not look pretty, but they fry up just fine. Slice the ends into strips, toss them with oil and seasoning, and pan fry until golden and crisp. These chips shine because bread firms as it cooks, turning dry slices into crunchy bites. Sprinkle with salt, garlic powder, or herbs. Serve them with soup, salad, or eggs. It's a simple way to turn unwanted pieces into something worth snacking on. Toast stale cereal as crumb coating. Old cereal doesn't need the trash. It just needs heat. Spread it on a baking sheet and toast until dry and crunchy, then crush it into fine crumbs. These crumbs work well because the sugars and grains brown beautifully, adding texture and flavor to coatings. Use them on chicken, fish, or vegetables before baking or frying. You'll get crisp edges without buying breadcrumbs, and you'll clear out the cupboard at the same time. Mix mashed beans into brownie batter. A pan of brownies can stretch further with one quiet addition. Mash cooked beans until smooth, then blend them into the batter before baking. They disappear into the mix because cocoa and sugar mask their flavor while keeping the texture moist. What you gain is extra protein and more servings from the same batch. Serve them warm, and no one will ever guess your secret. It's a sweet way to stretch supplies without giving up dessert. For more contents like this, click here to subscribe.